I still remember the way the laughter cut through the air that evening, sharp, like a knife I never saw coming. My name is Elena. For most of my life, people saw me as the quiet one, the reliable older sister who chose a different path, while my younger sister Mia chased excitement, spotlight, and the kind of love stories that look perfect on the outside. I kept my world hidden in shadows most people never notice. I served my country in silence. No parades, no headlines, just missions that required me to disappear so others could come home. They called me Phantom, not because I was invisible, but because when I moved, no one ever saw me twice. I extracted hostages from places that didn't exist on maps. I gathered intelligence that saved lives long before the bullets flew, and I carried the weight of every decision alone. Mia never understood that. To her, I was just the boring sister with the government job. She loved reminding everyone how ordinary I was, especially after she married Ryan, a decorated Navy SEAL, broad-shouldered, intense, the kind of man who walked into a room and made everyone straighten up. That night, we were all gathered at our parents' house for Mia's birthday. The lights were warm, the table full of food, and laughter floated through the house like nothing could ever go wrong. I sat quietly in the corner, nursing a glass of wine, watching my sister glow in her new life. Then Mia raised her voice just enough for everyone to hear. "Oh, come on, Elena, tell them what you really do. Push papers all day? File reports no one reads?" She laughed, that bright, mocking laugh I'd heard since we were kids. "My husband is out there actually saving the world. What's your biggest achievement this year? Organizing a filing cabinet." Ryan chuckled beside her, his arm draped casually over her shoulders. He didn't say anything cruel, but his small smile, it stung. I felt the familiar ache in my chest. The one that comes when family turns your silence into weakness. I forced a gentle smile and said nothing, but inside something shifted. I had spent years protecting secrets far bigger than my pride. What I didn't know that evening was how quickly everything was about to change. Because later that night, when the conversation turned to military stories and Ryan started sharing, just enough to impress the room without breaking protocol, someone asked me a simple question. "Elena, you ever work with any special ops guys?" Mia jumped in before I could answer. "Her, please?" Elena wouldn't last 5 minutes in that world. She's more of a behind-the-scenes kind of girl. The room laughed again, soft, polite, but it landed like stones in my stomach. I looked at Ryan then, really looked at him, and said quietly, "I do have a call sign, actually." Mia rolled her eyes dramatically. "Oh, this should be good. What is it? Spreadsheet?" "Coffee runner." I met her gaze calmly, my voice steady but soft. "They called me Phantom." The laughter didn't stop right away. But Ryan, his face changed. At first, Ryan just blinked. Then his expression shifted from amusement to something colder, recognition. His shoulders tensed. The easy smile he'd been wearing all evening faded, replaced by a look I've seen on operators when they realize they're standing in front of a ghost from their own world. "Phantom?" He repeated slowly, his voice dropping. "As in Phantom 6? The room grew quieter. Mia noticed the change in her husband immediately. She laughed again, trying to pull the moment back. "Ryan, stop. She's joking. Elena doesn't have a call sign. She works in logistics or something boring like that." But Ryan wasn't laughing anymore. His eyes stayed locked on mine. "You were in the Horn 3 years ago. The extraction that went dark for 48 hours. They said only one operator made it in and out without leaving a trace." "That was you?" I nodded once. No pride in my voice, just truth. Mia's face flushed. She hated being left out of any conversation, especially one that made her look small. "Wait, what are you even talking about? Elena, you never told me any of this. You've been lying to the whole family?" Her words hurt more than the earlier mockery, because they weren't just teasing anymore. They carried real anger, the kind that comes when someone's perfect image of you starts cracking. I tried to keep my voice gentle. "Mia, some things aren't meant to be shared, even with family." But she wasn't listening. The betrayal in her eyes wasn't about my secrets. It was about how my truth made her feel exposed. For years, she had built this narrative. She was the successful, glamorous sister with the heroic husband. I was the plain one who never measured up. Now, in front of our parents and close friends, that story was unraveling. Later that night, after most guests had left, Mia cornered me in the kitchen. Her voice was low and sharp with emotion. "How dare you humiliate me like that? You could have said something years ago instead of letting me think you were." "Nothing. Do you know how that makes me look?" Like I've been bragging about Ryan while my own sister was some kind of secret hero? Tears welled in her eyes, but they weren't tears of regret. They were tears of embarrassment and resentment. I never wanted to be a hero, Mia, I whispered. I just wanted to protect people, including you. She shook her head. You let me mock you. You let me believe I was better. That's crueler than anything. Ryan stood in the doorway, silent. He didn't defend me. He didn't defend her either. The man trained to face death without flinching looked shaken, because he knew exactly what phantom meant in certain classified circles. He knew the missions. He knew the cost. That night, something inside me broke open. Not in anger, but in exhaustion. Years of swallowing quiet humiliation from the one person who was supposed to love me unconditionally finally caught up. My heart felt shattered, not by strangers, but by my own sister's need to dim my light so hers could shine brighter. I drove home in silence, tears streaming down my face. For the first time, I allowed myself to feel the full weight of the betrayal, not just the public mocking, but the years of being erased, being called useless in subtle ways, being treated like I had wasted my life while she lived hers loudly. But pain has a way of forging strength. By the time I reached my apartment, the tears had dried. A quiet resolve took their place. I wasn't going to explode. I wasn't going to scream or demand apologies. I had spent too many years operating in silence to start now. 2 weeks later, Mia and Ryan invited the family to a small gathering at their beautiful home near the base. She wanted to clear the air, she said, but I could hear the edge in her voice. She needed to regain control of the story. I arrived quietly, as always. The moment I walked in, Ryan's eyes found mine. There was respect there now, mixed with discomfort. He knew more about my work than Mia ever would. During dinner, Mia couldn't help herself. She brought it up again, trying to spin it lightly. So, Elena, phantom, huh? Maybe next time you can tell us some real stories, instead of keeping everyone in the dark. The table went still. I looked at her calmly and said, some stories aren't mine to tell, Mia, but there is one thing I can share. I turned to Ryan. 3 years ago, during that operation you mentioned, my team pulled out 6 operators who had been compromised. Men who were never supposed to come home. One of them was from your old platoon, Ryan. They still don't know my name, but they know Phantom got them out. Ryan's face went pale. He set his fork down slowly. The room was so quiet you could hear the clock ticking. Mia stared between us, her perfect world cracking again. For the first time, she saw her husband looking at me, not with mockery, but with the deep, quiet respect reserved for those who have walked through fire. Most people can't even imagine. She tried to laugh it off, but the sound came out broken. Okay, this is getting ridiculous. But it wasn't ridiculous. It was the moment her mockery finally met reality. I didn't need to say more. I didn't expose classified details. I didn't humiliate her the way she had tried to humiliate me. I simply let the truth sit there, heavy and undeniable. In the weeks that followed, things changed quietly. Ryan started treating me with genuine regard. He even pulled me aside once and thanked me, not just for the mission, but for never throwing it in anyone's face. Mia, she struggled. The pedestal she had built for herself felt smaller. Our relationship grew distant for a while, filled with awkward silences and forced smiles. But slowly, painfully, she began to see me differently. Not as competition, not as the boring sister, but as someone who had carried invisible burdens, so others, including her, could live freely. I never sought loud revenge. My justice wasn't destruction. It was simply stepping out of the shadows, long enough for the light, to reveal what had always been there. Today, when I look back, my heart feels lighter. The betrayal shattered something in me, yes, but it also freed me from the need to hide who I truly was. If there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's this. Never let anyone, not even family, convince you that your silence means weakness. Some of us fight battles no one will ever see. And sometimes the most powerful response isn't raising your voice. It's simply letting the truth speak for itself. Your worth was never theirs to measure. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever been underestimated by the people closest to you, know that you are not alone. And sometimes, the quiet ones carry the loudest legacies. Until next time, stay strong, stay silent when you must, and never forget your own call sign.